Welcome back to Sahara TV. My name is Rudolf Okonkwo. We now have the spokesperson for the All Progressive Congress, the opposition party that fueled the candidate, Dr. Chris Ngige, at the Anambra State election last week. He's now joining us from Lagos. Mr. Lai Mohammed, welcome to Sahara TV.
Thank you very much, Mr. Okonkwo.
Yeah. So let me start by asking you, your candidate and others, they met with INEC this week before INEC announced a date for a supplementary election. What happened in that meeting?
I'm not aware that our candidates actually met INEC, no. Our candidates made their presentations to INEC. I know in particular that my party, the APC, we made our position known to INEC in a letter in which we detailed the various irregularities that characterized the November 16 election and why there must be a cancellation and fresh election.
Okay, but INEC said that your party and others could not provide sufficient evidence to support outright cancellation of the election. What evidence did you provide to INEC?
Well, I think the chairman of INEC himself, Professor Taru Jaga, provided the most devastating evidence why the election should be cancelled, when he publicly admitted that one of his own officials was in deals with money to compromise the election in the Idemili North local government. That, in our view, it's a very potent reason why the election should be cancelled, because it means the election is tainted. And up till now, Ataru Jega is yet to tell us who that official is and exactly how widespread that attempt to compromise or that plot to compromise is. Two, another very potent reason why we believe that the election should be cancelled is that even the Idemili North local government has over 173,000 registered voters. The ABGA today, which is supposed to be leading in the election, does not have that figure of registered voters. In other words, when you have a whole local government with over 173,000 voters excluded from the election, I think it is a good enough reason to cancel.
Now, ABGA is saying, and I'm happy that you mentioned that, because ABGA is saying even if Chris Ngige wins Idemili North and South, all the votes there, that your party is still not going to get the 25% needed across the local government areas to be able to be the candidate, the winner in the election.
Is that a defense?
Well, yeah, you can.
Is that a defense to the admission by the chairman of INEC that an official of his own commission took money to sabotage and compromise the election? We want to know how deep that plot is, because we have evidence that it did not stop in only Idemili North, that it was rampant everywhere. Again, we also have evidence to the effect that while there are 4,608 polling units officially, INEC created an additional 1,603. But when we send the names of these over 6,000 agents to INEC, INEC only gave us 4,608, accredited, tags, which means that we could not officially even cover over 1,900, polling units. We also know that the entire senatorial district belonging to our candidate was deliberately starved of materials, not just only Idemili North, Idemili South, Oka South. In other words, we are talking about over 400,000 registered voters that were, denied materials to vote. Now, we also did complain beforehand to INEC that Professor Okonkwo is a biased umpire because in 2011 election, he was particularly hostile to our party aides and our candidates, which led to his cancellation of 2 Afro Assembly elections, which we eventually won in court. So, and despite all this, the INEC retained him as the resident electoral officer. We also have record and evidence that against INEC regulations, staff of UNIZIC and students were both presiding officers and SPOs, despite the fact that the running mate of the ABGA candidate is a lecturer in that university. So we can catalog and we can go on and on reasons that are weighty enough to cancel this election.
Now, let me ask you, why do you think INEC is unwilling to cancel the election?
Because INEC is in cahoot with the presidency to allow a free and fair election.
So, now, what happens now? I understand that your party is saying they are going to boycott the next, the supplementary election. What happens? Are you going to court?
We're not going to. You see, the issue is not about boycott. You see, what we are telling Nigerians and the whole world is that this election is so incurably defective that supplementary election is not the answer. Because when you do supplementary election, you are still cutting, you are still disemphasizing over 1 million registered voters in Anambra State. And we are saying that the entire election is tainted, right from the personnel presiding to the electoral commissioner, to the conduct of the election, and to the admission of the chair of INEC himself. That, yes, some of his staff took money to sabotage the election. I mean, in any decent community, this election is already tainted. And you can, it's not for Professor Jega to tell us that there's no substantial evidence. What does it mean by substantial evidence? It's for a court of law to decide what evidence is substantial or not. But in the perception already is that this election is tainted and only a fresh election, can rectify.
Now let me ask you, because we are running out of time. We have Metu coming up next. Now, what is at stake for APC in this election? Now, people are saying, your opponents are saying that if APC should lose Anambra State with a candidate like Chris Ngige, that APC is essentially doomed in the rest of eastern Nigeria, maybe South-South. Is that your perception? Is that why you are really fighting for this?
I think this goes far beyond our candidate. It's about the future of democracy in Nigeria. And interestingly enough, we also have the candidate of both the Labour Party and the PDP in this particular election agreeing with us that nothing but a fresh election would do. And you see, we begin to wonder if the second runner-up, the third runner-up, if the first runner-up, the second runner-up, and the third runner-up all insist on fresh election, then we do not see why INEC will not listen to these very powerful stakeholders.
Yeah, Mr. Mohammed, I can't let you go without asking you. People are talking about the demonstration, the protest by some women in Anambra State, and there is this report that those women were paid by APC. I'll give you the chance to clear that. Did APC hire them to demonstrate against the way INEC conducted election in Anambra State?
You see, everybody knows our antecedent. We are very law-abiding, and we have trashed everything we have. Any issue we have, we go to court, and we believe in due process. If the women in Anambra believe that they have been disenfranchised, I think it's within their rights to protest peacefully. But to say that APC is paying the women in Anambra, I think is an insult both to the party and to these women.
Okay, one last question. Whatever happens in this election, 2015 election is by the side, and what is your take on confidence level now? Whether INEC can handle this in 2015?
Yeah, frankly speaking, going by what is happening in Anambra, I think 2015 will be a tragedy, and this is why we're using the Anambra election as a good opportunity to stop the impunity of INEC and insist that democracy is about one man, one vote. We are not interested in the outcome of this election, who wins or who loses, as long as it is seen to be free and fair.
All right, Mr. Lai Mohammed, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Thanks very much.
Okay, coming up next, we are going to talk to Olisa Metu, who is the spokesperson for PDP, and he will give us his own perspective on the Anambra election. Stay tuned.